And welcome back, all you infidels, kuffar, Muslims and Islamic appeasers out there. Right, this is the second part of my little discussion with WakeTheFuckUpSheep. So anyway, moving on, I'm just going to read through all of his comments again. So, he says here that, and that slandering would seem to come in the form of his videos. Did you bother to look at his page? I mean, if his name doesn't tell you something, then I don't know what to say. And how many former Islamists do you come across in the real world that have developed such an outspoken hatred for their former beliefs? The fact of the matter is that if someone wants to hate on a group of people, the easiest way to do it is to act as though they are a current or former member of that group. Then their fucked up views are somehow more appealing for people to listen to. Just try and imagine his screen name next to a big Jewish star. What would you think about that? So rather than taking every faker on YouTube to federal court to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, let's just use some common sense here and put two and two together. But if after that, if you really want to have this guy as your friend and debate him about religion all day long, have at it. My point with my initial message to you in the first place was so that you could be aware that this guy will not engage you by saying his religion is better than yours, forcing you into a debate that would put him on the defensive. Now, instead, as a former Muslim, he can freely just go on and on bashing Islam without anyone to come directly at him, and he will do so with a Christian as his audience. Perfect. And I'm sure that he figures with enough persistence he can somewhat reinforce any ill feeling you have for Islam, or at the very least keep you distracted from the truth. Now, before I enlighten you to that truth, let me say this. I really don't care for the extreme Muslims of the world either. You know, the ones who strap dynamite to their bodies and go and kill innocent people. That's one thing we can agree on then. Right, so carry on here. Yeah, the world will definitely be a better place without them, but the fact of the matter is that there are not as many of those extremists as we are constantly told there are by the media, and in the end, they are not as destructive of a force as the Zionist Jews are. Now, if you have not heard of Zionism, then I suggest you do a YouTube search on it and see what you find. Now, before you start gearing yourself up for some religious rant to me, quoting scripture and whatnot, let me stop you there. But if you are really curious as to my beliefs, I have no videos of my own that I can refer you to that would help you understand my stance on religion and politics. However, if you'd like to see someone who does a good job of representing views that are very similar to those of my own, then I suggest you look at this channel, and about any video done by this guy I can say safely that I agree with him 99.9% of the time. So obviously he's quoting here the atheist delusion, calculate your God delusion index, blah blah blah. And if you really want to, if you really want some kind of substantiation behind my views, then there's a real good summary of the documented history behind the fraud of religion and the zeitgeist. I mean, I actually quite like some of the zeitgeist stuff. It does make some pretty good points. As for the Jews, the good ones who keep their beliefs to themselves and try not to harm others, they are just fine with me. It is the Zionist Jews that are real problems. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, you can watch these. So this is someone who, instead of debating, will just constantly say, oh, watch a film, watch a film, watch a film, watch a video. YouTube is full of videos that are complete fabrications, mate. That in itself, I'm not saying that they all are, I mean some of them are very, very good, but there's a lot that's just utter bullshit, and common sense should lead you to the belief that, yeah, that's an absolute fact. But anyway, he goes on to quote the truth about Zionism, the history of the Israeli war crimes, and Zionist Jew motives. Then he goes on to say, now, if after watching those, assuming you will, as you still want to fire back at me, don't bother. My point here is not to start a long and meaningless debate with you, but rather to open your eyes to the real motivations of those around you. And in case you are still wondering what my motivation is, that is my motivation, to wake people up to the truth. Again, I really don't give a shit what fairy tales people want to believe in. When they start tying those beliefs into politics, then we have a problem. Again, I will agree with you there. If, however, I somehow have gotten through to you and you are interested in learning and understanding more about the world around you, religion aside, then the country you live in, and the country you live in rather, I highly recommend that you look through my favourites and watch some of those videos related to politics and the US government. They might open your eyes to the fact that this government is not what you think it is, i.e. 9/11. Oh, it was at this point I'm thinking, here we go, I'm dealing with a 9/11 truther. But anyway, let's carry on. One more thing, here is more damning evidence of Zionist Jews and the subversive bullshit. So again, another video link here. Be sure to watch the entire series if you want to know the history of Zionist Jew terrorism and their sinister agenda. Right, I've done plenty of reading. I know that there are sinister agendas. I know that Zionism isn't all that nice at times, but I don't say that all Zionists are nasty fucking horrible people, in exactly the same respect that although I absolutely hate and detest Islam, I don't hate and detest every single Muslim out there. So my response is to him, right, I wouldn't agree with you about debating with people who are steadfast in their beliefs, because I have made Muslims think about what it is they are following. Admittedly, yes, I would agree with you for the most part Muslims will deny Islamic facts that I throw at them, but it's not a waste of time because Muslims and non-Muslims alike come to my channel and look at the current debate. I've got Muslims to understand that Muhammad was not perfect and therefore his example is not something that should be followed today. This is excellent progress. However, my main target audience is those who appease Islam without actually knowing what Islam's intentions actually are. Here we go. My motives are to wake people up to Islamic facts, much in the same way as Winston Churchill tried to wake people up to the threat of Nazism. Unlike the looney left, Islamic appeasers, I have learned the lessons of history. History is a great teacher. It is my aim to cut through political correctness that undermines freedom of speech, which in turn fudges and softens the realities of ideological intent. For your information, I am not a Christian, I am a Gnostic spiritualist. I do not conform to any religious dogma because it undermines one's ability to reason with logic and facts. Yes, you are right to a point about religion just being a means to control the masses and being fairy tales. I'm going on here. Now, with regard to Islam as a disease, I think it is you who's missed the boat, so to speak. Please let me quote you. And I do. First thing is that if you really think that it is irrelevant as to whether he is truly a former Muslim or not, then you are missing the boat, because if he is not, then his motive for slandering Islam and Muslims in general immediately comes into question. Right. Here we go. Well, as you've said yourself, if he is not a former Muslim, expression, right, if he is not a former Muslim, then I would agree with your point totally, absolutely, but you are still surmising. As to yet, you have not proven your point. Right now, all you have done is make an accusation without backing up your stance with facts and evidence. This renders your position as being one of opinion and at worst slander. I hope you understand my reasoning. I don't think I'm being unreasonable saying that. I think it's a logical debate, but that's my point, you know, that's my opinion. It's up to the viewers here to make their own minds up on that. Looking at Islam as a Diseases channel, Islam is a disease screen name rather, next to a Jewish star would only imply that he, she is a Jew who dislikes Islam. If your name was next to a picture of Jesus Christ nailed to the cross, then that would imply a dislike of Christians. Your point is irrelevant, I'm afraid. That is an absurd, absolutely absurd, pathetic comparison. What a load of rubbish, right? Common sense is a good thing. However, as I've said before, the onus is on you to substantiate your claim. Why not debate him or her and expose him or her through intellectual means? Failing that, all you can do is surmise. This in itself is not proof, and if you can't provide that proof, then I suggest you move on and forget about him or her, because it's obvious that this person has really got to you for whatever reason. So, come back for part 3.